All right, y'all. So I'm doing this little segment because I think that a lot of people, my book, Stay in Your Lane, A Diary of a Hot Mess, a lot of people were under the guise that I wrote the book because it was going to be cathartic for me. You know, it was going to be some type of therapy. And really, that's not what it was. I wrote the book because it was a series of journals that I had over the years, which is why if you read the book, there's certain portions in the book that are so like to the detail with things that I saw, things that I remember, that there was no way that I would have remembered that had I not written it down. Also, you know, we're part of my CC blog fam. They know that, you know, they're like, Denise is crazy. You know, she's like Colombiana. She, you know, boiled a man's rice in bleach, you know, and these are things that are in the book, but people are like, you know, why did that happen? So I wrote the book really because I was really tired of people, you know, treating me like I was Bane, you know what I'm saying? Treat me like, you know, there was not a series of events that led up to me being like a makeshift assassin. There was a series of events that led me up to punching grown men in their face. You know, there was a series of events. And I think that the demographic in Niagara Falls, people don't understand that we grew up fighting men. You know, it was very rare that you would see a female on female fight. You know, you just didn't see that. You know, there was 3Ms. You know, everybody dancing in the mirror, somebody getting their hair pulled, getting beat up, pulled out. You understand what I'm saying? So I felt like that story needed to be told because it was almost like we were living in some sort of compound and nobody knew what it was like here. So you have a lot of people that are talking about the Bronx. You know, I'm bigging up the Bronx, I'm bigging up Brooklyn, I'm bigging up, you know, Queens, and that's cool. But a lot of people don't understand that per capita, you know, if somebody in our community gets AIDS, everybody got it. You know, if somebody in our community gets killed, we all know who did it. You know, and there were a lot of females that we kind of just brushed abuse under the rug. We kind of just was like, oh girl, he just crazy, he just mad, you know what I mean? And then the drug culture that was here at the time, I mean, we have the Canadian border right there. And it seems as if almost everyone forgot that when it came to the dope gang, there were certain things that were going on here, you know, mafia things and things of such that people were not addressing. So I wrote the book because I wanted to bring people a little bit into this lifestyle, bring people a little bit into our community and let them know that there is talent here, but if we can't get past the abuse, if we can't get past, you know, letting our children see generational welfare and, you know, knowing what EBT cards and using them like, you know, credit cards, then we're not going to be able to survive. You know, I also have a son. And so there's a component in there where I speak about black men. And so because of my son, you know, I can't hate black men. I can't. You know, it's something in me I can't do. I should. I really should. But I don't because I have a son. So I have to explain to him how things happen and why mommy is the way she is. And, you know, she doesn't like sudden hand movements and, you know, things of such. So the book is called Stay in Your Lane. Obviously, I put on for our city. And I made sure that the falls was on the front. And a lot of times in a book, you'll hear me say I'm the queen of the universe, you know, because that's how I was raised. I never had a self-esteem issue. They're like, oh, you know, people are abused, they have self-esteem issues. That was never my issue, okay? I was doing attention-seeking behavior. It had nothing to do with my self-esteem being bad. I always thought I was the queen of the universe. So in this gown, you know, I'm running towards the falls, you know, because I want to put our city on the map. The back cover is basically me smoking a cohiba, which this is part of our culture. You know, we have women here that are doing grown man things. We're raising these kids by ourselves. You know, we're running businesses. We're holding things down because a lot of our men are in prison, you know, or they're just not around. And so a lot of that coming up, and it's not just me, it's people that have left the area. Just the loyalty component that's here is surreal. You know what I mean? It's like your friend blew up a building. I know she was just mad, but she's still my friend. You know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't matter. We don't distance ourselves from violence. You know what I'm saying? Or from, it's like, well, you know, that's my cousin. You know what I'm saying? They just crazy. He didn't mean no harm. So part of what attracted me to the last paramour that I had, and his name is Victor Flores, is the fact that he had that cool, calm to him. You know, you didn't see, and he's a businessman, so you didn't see, you know, him, you know, spaz out. So that was very attractive to me because I had never seen a man that wasn't wilding out trying to punch me in the face. You know, I had never seen a man that wasn't, you know, wilding out, talking about he was worried about getting arrested. You know what I mean? And I've dealt with all kinds of men. So this was the CIO of a company, real pretty cat. You know, it didn't work out. And he's going straight to hell with a gasoline suit on. So, and he hurt my feelings. And so this was the last man that broke my heart. And I felt like I needed to write about him because even though he doesn't talk about it, he is the same as we. You know, he comes from a background where he grew up in a trailer. I'm like, well, I didn't know black people lived in trailers. I thought, we had the projects. That was like as worse as we were going to go. And so you see me starting to connect with him on another level based upon the fact that he comes from the same cloth I come from, but he has not accepted his crazy. You understand what I'm saying? So the portion that I'm going to read you is basically about the fact that when I flew down to Florida, because he lives in Florida, I flew down to Florida and we were having, one of our extravagant, because everything he did was extravagant. I'm like, look, I'm from the hood. We ain't got to do all this. It's cool if you do, but whatever. Because that's how he sees me. You understand what I'm saying? So I come from Niagara Falls, but he sees me in a whole nother realm than what everyone else gets to see me. And so here's where I'm going to talk about where I figured out that we were kind of one and the same. It's a chapter of Victor Flores. I'm a cuss, so as we drove past my shitty pink building that I used to live in post-divorce, he started really purging again. He told me that in comparison to where he grew up, that was the Taj Mahal. I'm not sure that he knew that the Taj Mahal was an edifice built by an emperor for his late queen. It took 22 years to build and is known in Mushy Land as one of the 7 wonders of the world and one of the largest, most expensive displays of love in the world. There was that discomfort again, and I never took what he said at face value. If he was speaking about our kingdom, that was relatable, so I listened. He said he grew up in a trailer park, and I was in absolute shock. I wasn't even aware that black folk lived in trailers. I mean, I thought at our poorest, we lived in the projects. I thought by default, the projects were ours, and the white people got the trailers. Now, my stomach began to hurt because he was ruining my preconceived image of his upbringing. Now we are closer in theory than I thought, and I wanted to sabotage at that moment, because this couldn't be true. I knew that he may have struggled, but I wasn't aware that it was a mirror image to my family. He began to tell me how his mother raised him and his siblings on one income of about $10,000 a year. Now, I was about to faint because I often wonder how my mama did the same thing after her divorces. Nobody was going to say that shit in the black Acura sedan. I didn't even know that he had siblings. I didn't know that he helped out his mama and niece in the same way I tried to help my family. And I began to get sick. If the lights would ever turn red, I would jump out this fucking car immediately at this intersection. This is what I silently considered. The picture was being painted. Him and I are twins, and I didn't understand. He is way darker than me, and there can only be one reason for that. His upbringing had to be worse than mine. His abuse was sexual for sure, and that's why he was a sex addict. He was hypersexual because someone took him in one of those trailers and hurt him. I don't know if it was a male, I don't know if it was a female or both, or if they lied and told him it was normal to be naked in a bathroom with strangers. However, they wouldn't have been strangers because they would have been neighbors or the babysitter when mama wasn't around. Things happen to pretty little boys with darker siblings and a mama trying to make ends meet by working odd hours and living in a trailer park. Even if it wasn't true, his beatings had to be worse than mine because maybe that's what drew us together, was hurt. As we drove past seemingly aluminum foil crinkled rooftops to trailers in a nearby tin can asylum, the moon made fun of him that night. It shined so bright off those tops of those crinkled cans that he remained silent until we pulled into the gate and went upstairs. We showered separately and remained silent until he cracked open a beer. He told me he's having the last beer before he goes to work in the morning, and I do a swivel neck. I wait for him to nestle in the big, plush white bed and let a more welcoming moon drape his body through the curtains. I grab that beer out the fridge, take a sip, and dump it out the drain. He can't be driving to work at 8 a.m. after drinking a beer. I mean, who does that? He can't be fucking up the brand. I can't allow that, okay? So you don't have to be with me, but you will not fuck up the brand. This is the guy who has the bottom left drawer full of stolen minibar baby bottles of liquor. This is the guy that thinks that nobody knows he's fucked up and tries to have board meetings and the white people are laughing at him in his face. This is the guy that drinks cheap liquor at lunch and risks a DUI on the way back to work. Hell nah, not today. He got to get himself together and I'm gonna help him. He needed my help, not my judgment. If he didn't listen to me, I would go to plan B, which was reading him like a transvestite would after seeing a woman wearing muse with an ashy heel and his Z formation snap at the end as well. I would have to go Highland Avenue on his ass. I would have to go dancing in the mirror in the club on his ass. My hard work would not go unnoticed this time. And scene.